in the dim glow of a corner bistro in downtown Seattle, where rain pattered against the floor-to-ceiling windows like forgotten tears. Emily Wheeler wheeled herself through the door with a mix of trepidation and fragile hope. At 28, she had learned to navigate the world from a chair, paralyzed from the waist down since a car accident 3 years earlier that stole not just her legs, but her unshakable faith in people's goodwill. Her so-called friends, a clique of old college sorority sisters who had drifted into shallow social media lives, had pitched this blind date as a fun surprise. "You'll love him." They'd giggled over wine the night before. A total catch. CEO, single dad, the works. What they hadn't said in their whispered side chats was that it was all a setup. A cruel punchline. "Let's see how Mr. Perfect handles a real curveball," one had texted, emoji laughing at Emily's expense. They thought it'd make for a viral story, a laugh at the pity case who dared to dream of romance again. Emily smoothed her emerald dress, the one that hugged her shoulders just right, and scanned the room. Her dark curls framed a face that still lit up with quiet defiance. Green eyes scanning for a man named Alex who'd supposedly arrive in a navy suit. She ignored the stares, the subtle double takes from couples at nearby tables, the way the hostess had hesitated before guiding her to a secluded booth. "This is for you," the woman had said kindly, but Emily caught the pity flicker. It stung, but she'd armored herself against it. Tonight, she told herself, was about possibility, about proving to the mirror each morning that she was more than her chair, more than the accident reports that defined her to strangers. As she adjusted her napkin, a shadow fell across the table. She looked up, and there he was, tall, broad-shouldered, with salt and pepper hair and eyes like storm-tossed ocean, carrying the weight of quiet command. "Emily?" Alex Harlan extended a hand, not in awkward hesitation, but with the steady warmth of someone who'd shaken hands with boardrooms and broken dreams alike. At 35, he was the youngest CEO of Harlan Tech, a Seattle empire built on innovative prosthetics and adaptive devices. Ironic, given the voids in his own life. His wife, Lila, had died 5 years earlier from cancer, leaving him to raise their daughter Sophie, now 7, with a heart stitched together by late-night board meetings and bedtime stories. Friends had nagged him into this date, promising no strings, just coffee. He hadn't expected the jolt when he spotted her across the room, not revulsion, as his setup crew might have cruelly hoped, but a pull, like recognizing a fellow traveler in a foreign land. Emily took his hand, her fingers cool and tentative in his firm grip. "Alex," she replied, her voice steady despite the butterflies. He didn't flinch at the chair, didn't offer patronizing help. Instead, he slid into the seat opposite, signaling the waiter with a nod. "Tell me," he said, leaning in with genuine curiosity, "what's the one thing that's made you smile this week?" The conversation unfolded like a hesitant melody, notes of laughter weaving through the pauses. Emily spoke of her job as a graphic designer, freelancing vibrant logos for nonprofits from her home studio overlooking Puget Sound, work that let her create beauty from stillness. She didn't mention the ache of isolation, the way her friends had ghosted after the accident, their texts drying up like summer streams. Alex listened, really listened, his dark eyes never wandering to his phone or the door. He shared snippets of his world, Sophie's obsession with building Lego castles that defied gravity just like her, and the quiet terror of parent-teacher nights when he felt like an imposter in a suit. "Being a dad," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's the only boardroom where I don't know the rules." Emily laughed, a sound like wind chimes in the rain, and for the first time that evening, she forgot the setup's shadow. The bistro's hum faded. It was just them, two souls trading vulnerabilities over espresso and tiramisu. But then the turn came, sharp as a Puget Sound squall. As the waiter cleared plates, Emily's phone buzzed incessantly, texts from her friends piling up like digital vultures. She glanced down, her face paling as the messages unfurled. "How's the joke landing? Bet he's ghosting already. Pity party of one. Film it for the group chat. Epic fail incoming." Her hand trembled, dropping the phone with a clatter that echoed like betrayal. The room spun. Humiliation burned hot in her chest. This wasn't a date, it was spectacle, her pain packaged for likes and shares. She reached for her chair's joystick, mumbling, "I should go," tears pricking her eyes. Alex's brow furrowed, not in confusion, but quiet fury as he pieced it together, glimpsing the screen's glow. For a heartbeat, the CEO in him surged. the man who'd crushed hostile takeovers without blinking. But the father, the widower, the human beneath it all, won out. He stood not to leave but to kneel beside her, his hand gently reclaiming hers. "Emily," he said, voice low and fierce, "those aren't friends. They're echoes, and you're the realest thing I've seen in years." In that moment, profound realization cracked open Alex's armored heart. He'd built Harlan Tech to innovate mobility. Exoskeletons that let kids run. Apps that turned wheelchairs into extensions of will. But in his rush to conquer markets, he'd forgotten the simplest truth. Connection wasn't engineered. It was chosen. Emily, with her unyielding spirit, mirrored the loss he'd buried under success. She wasn't a joke or a setup. She was a lighthouse in his fog, illuminating the loneliness he'd normalized. And for Emily, his touch wasn't pity. It was anchor, the first time since the accident someone saw her wholeness without qualifiers. "Why stay?" she whispered, voice cracking. "You could walk away unscathed." He smiled, that storm-ocean gaze softening to dawn. "Because life's too short for half measures. And Sophie? She'd love your Lego ideas." The emotional climax crested not in grand gestures but in the quiet power of one selfless act. As they left the bistro, Alex pushing her chair through the rain-slicked streets with effortless care, he paused under a street lamp's halo. "I have something for you," he said, pulling a sleek device from his coat pocket. A prototype from his company, a neural interface glove that translated subtle hand gestures into voice commands for her design software. He'd brought it on a whim, intending to discuss specs with a colleague later, but now he pressed it into her palm. Test it, for real. No strings, except maybe dinner with Sophie next week? It wasn't charity. It was partnership. A bridge from his world of innovation to her canvas of creation. Tears streamed down Emily's face, mingling with raindrops as the glove hummed to life under her touch. For the first time, her ideas could flow unhindered, her hands dancing free. The transformative impact rippled outward. In that glove, she found not just utility but validation, that her dreams weren't diminished, but amplified by those who dared to see. Word of the date leaked. Of course, those friends scrambling for redemption spun it into a redemption arc on social media, but Emily and Alex's story bloomed beyond screens. Over the weeks, dinners turned to weekends. Sophie, with her wild curls and fearless questions, wheeling beside Emily to the park, declaring her the best castle architect ever. Emily's designs exploded in popularity, her adaptive art inspiring a Harlan Tech collaboration that funded free tech for others like her. And Alex? He stepped back from the corner office, delegating to mentors while reclaiming evenings for story time and sunset walks. Love grew not in spite of their scars, but because of them. Tender, unscripted, a testament to choosing kindness when cruelty whispered louder. In the end, as Emily and Alex stood, wheeled and stood, on a balcony overlooking the Sound one crisp autumn evening, Sophie asleep between them, the message settled like starlight. Humanity's power lies not in perfection, but in the hand extended across divides. In a world quick to jest and judge, one act of genuine compassion can rewrite fates, turning jokes into journeys, isolation into belonging. And in that belonging, we all find our way home, whole, hopeful, and utterly alive. For Emily, it was the realization that her chair wasn't a cage, but a chariot carrying her to unexpected grace. For Alex, it was remembering that true leadership kneels. And for us, watching from afar, it's a reminder. Reach out. Take the hand. The world shifts when we do.